Well, greetings, hello. I haven't done a video in years. I've had no inclination to publicize anything anymore. Too many evil people trying to attack me, and most people don't learn and don't care. I make this video now as a last-ditch effort to reach open minds, so that when things do completely fall apart, and they will, hopefully the advocates for freedom and liberty will know their enemy and be victorious. I fully expect that if this video becomes popular enough, it will be censored and or removed. There will be a backup link provided in the comments below. Feel free to download it and share it wherever you like. In fact, I encourage it. I am not a doctor. I am not a virologist. I am not an epidemiologist. This video is commentary based on research and is not medical advice. I am not suicidal, and I am not depressed. I do not have any intentions to kill myself. Therefore, if I end up, quote unquote, suicided, know that it is not true. Know also that I have a dead man switch that will inform numerous contacts of my inactivity should it happen against my will. I'm going to present a large quantity of my research in this video, but it won't be in the form of a documentary. I have already done my research, and I'm not going to go back 5 months to find all of the data and information again. I encourage you to do your own research. Feel free to look up anything that I talk about. Please do. If you're going to hit me with disagreements, that's fine. I accept your free speech, regardless of whether I agree with it or not. However, if you're just going to use insults or try to present me with the Snopes or other fact-checking website data or mainstream media counter-arguments and talking points, then you're really not arguing at all. If you haven't read George Orwell's 1984 and don't know what the Ministry of Truth is, you have no ground to stand on to dispute what I'm about to say. I do, however, accept that some of my research could be incorrect, but there are too many truths and patterns to dissuade my viewpoint. Whether you realize it or not, you are in a full-blown war being waged upon humanity on a global scale. Not the typical infantry and mechanical war of bombs and explosions and insurgency, but a war of psychological usurpation designed to create division, complacency, dependency, and weakness. The weapons are propaganda, fear, censorship, deception, and tyrannical oppression. I and many others spent thousands of hours years ago trying to tell people that freedom and liberty were under attack, and also tried to provide evidence, documentation, and making connections to express these viewpoints. First, we were ignored. Second, we were laughed at. Third, we were mocked and criticized. Fourth, we were attacked. And finally, and likely too late, you'll see that we were right. If you've ever studied General Sun Tzu's Art of War, you'll know that several tactics are being deployed against humanity on a global scale. The most notable attributions to this military guide are force your opponent into weakness, the greatest victory is that which requires no battle, and when the enemy is relaxed, make them toil. When full, starve them. When settled, make them move. I submit also that if you don't know who your enemy is, you've already lost the war. Most people in this world have lost the war. If you oppose me after this production, feel free to unsubscribe, block me, and get the hell out of my life. Because frankly, I consider you at minimum a useless eater. Or maybe a useless idiot. And at worst, a potential collaborator, enemy, and or a sycophant. If you cannot see that you have been manipulated, controlled, and milked like common cattle, I have no sympathy for you. If you happen to be one of my good friends and you fall into this category, this is where we part ways. The time for debate and discussion are over, and if you can't express recognition of what's happening by now, it's already too late for you. Let's discuss the timeline of events. This is just a general timeline. I'm going to skip around a little bit. But I'm also going to make some points, some logical discussion points. But anyway, the news breaks of a novel virus from Wuhan, China. Beer flu is probably the funniest one I've heard. Gotta laugh or you're gonna cry, right? But no, that's not where it started. Event 201 is kind of where it started. It talks about almost this exact scenario and event occurring. And this event states the solution can only be reached with global business and governments working together. Let's go back in time a little bit further. And you can find the 2010 Rockefeller Lockstep white paper that outlines a global outbreak and how to handle it. The document makes reference to a weaponized backup plan to be released after the outbreak to ensure full epidemic outcome. It also notes, and I quote, tighter top-down government control and more authoritarian leadership. Wow. It doesn't get any more clear than this. Media continues to amplify the fear and a potential repeat of the 1918 Spanish flu-like outcomes. They claim that there will be millions of deaths. They have retracted and altered that number at least 3 times. Let me give you a little bit of logic here. There are approximately 3 million deaths per year alone in the USA. That's all deaths included. The flu kills on average 600,000 people worldwide every year, sometimes more, sometimes less. There are nearly 10 million deaths per year worldwide from cardiovascular disease and 10 million from cancer. Let these numbers sink in. Many have said that while the virus was not nearly as deadly as first believed to be, the danger now comes from overwhelming hospital capacities. Well, this ties directly into several other problems. Number 1, doctors, nurses, and other medical professionals have repeatedly, publicly spoken on social media platforms in opposition to this viewpoint. They were censored and deleted. Anything that was said contrary to the official narrative became a terms of service violation and was deleted. Numerous popular influencers have been deplatformed. Some may be lucky enough to have simply been shadow banned. Number 2, documents have been released showing that peak and overcapacity numbers are not much different than previous years for the times that the media was spreading for fear porn. Number 3, the CDC guidelines for death certificates have suggested that the virus be written as the cause of death, even without tests, if the patient simply had symptoms synonymous to those of the virus, even when a patient had a pre-existing condition that could have been the cause of death. Some documents have been released showing the cause of death to be the virus, when the patient had a gunshot wound to the head or experienced a stroke. Not shitting you in the least. Testing procedures have proven to be inaccurate to provide false positives. People have tested fruits and animals and sent them in, and they've come back positive. People have sent in non-used tests that came back positive. People have received positive diagnosis when they never sent in a test. Explain that one. Politicians and police are exempt from mandatory mask mandates. Really? Can we say the highest level of hypocrisy ever? Dear ruling class, kiss my ass. Young children, the largest carriers of pathogens and germs, are exempt from wearing masks. People have been convinced that the mask isn't to protect yourself, but to protect others. This creates more division by those virtue signaling and criticizing those who do not wear masks. Those refusing to wear masks are called selfish, when in fact the ones that want to force others to wear a mask. Get a vaccine, stay home and quarantine, maintain distancing, or lose their jobs to make them feel safe. I haven't asked one person to do one thing. Their list of demands is long and hypocritical, to say the least. The safety of other people is not my responsibility. It's their responsibility. If you're afraid, stay the fuck home. Don't put that on me. It's not on me. It's not my problem. It's yours because you're scared. I am not scared because I do my research. Do yours. And if you think for a moment that any politician or public figure cares about you, you're living in a fantasy land. If I died yesterday, would they feel bad about it today? No, because they don't know me and they don't care. That's life. People die all the time. Suddenly it's now everybody else's fault instead of life? Get real. I digress. For now. All masks have shown to be scientifically ineffective in preventing the spread of a virus. It even says so on the packages. The size of the virus is so small that it can pass through all masks except for high-end biohazard types, like a gas mask with an NBC filter, or biohazard masks that cover your entire face or your head. The behavior of people wearing the masks wouldn't prevent the spread anyway. All you have to do is hang out in a grocery store for an hour and watch everyone that wears one. They're touching everything. They're always readjusting their mask. They're always touching their face. And when they take their mask off to eat, they're handling the mask and their food. So if the mask did happen to catch anything, they say it stays alive on surfaces for days. Well, let's see. You pick that up, you put it down, you set it in your car to go to your next location, and then you pick it up and put it back on your face. Really? All right. You should be washing your hands about every 3.8 seconds to make this viable. Or stay the hell home. I mean, if it was a real pandemic, everybody would be scared and staying home. But they're not. Everybody's doing everything that they normally do. They're just wearing a muzzle. Real beautiful. And people are freaking clueless. And they can't exercise critical thinking. And they have no logic centers. I don't know what this is, but it's mass stupidity. Let's add some more to this. Mass protests and riots are acceptable and exempt from masks and social distancing. But people can't attend any other large gatherings. Those are prohibited. Rioters and protesters, they're not dying en masse from the virus. No kidding. No public official or politician has said anything about physical health or strengthening the immune system. Stay inside. Make sure you avoid that vitamin D that the sun gives you. That's not important at all. They're not talking about that, are they? Discussion of a global rushed vaccine that may become mandatory. Over my dead body. And I mean it. And if you don't mean it, you're a chicken shit. There's a line and a hill to stand on. This is it. Know where your line is. And be ready for it, because it's coming. And if you think it's not, then you're naive and you need some help. And I'm trying to give it to you right now. And if this ain't good enough, do some damn research. And hurry up, because you ain't got much time. The two largest advocates are Bill Gates and some asshole from the World Health Organization. neither of which are medical doctors, epidemiologists, or virologists. Yet these are the experts that everybody's listening to. Fauci, when's the last time Fauci saw a patient? The guy, the guy who always takes off his mask every time he thinks he's off a camera. Yeah, that guy. The virus has a 99.8, possibly higher, rate of survival. That's right. South Park really called that one. If you haven't seen that yet, I would suggest looking at that. That's rather amusing. Scary, but amusing. Small businesses were utterly destroyed while the mega corporations were allowed to remain open. Isn't that interesting? Not only that, but they were also given trillions of dollars through the PPP program. They're stealing all of the remaining wealth that the middle and lower class have and giving it to their friends under the guise of saving the economy. And you believe it. God, I hope you don't believe it. They've been doing this for so long. It's not just the PPP program. Basically, everything that's designed through taxation is in fact socialism. They are stealing from everyone and giving to others. Meanwhile, the vast majority become too weak and dependent to resist. They lose everything and become both physically and psychologically diminished. Meanwhile, they hand out piddly stipends of money to the average person under the guise of a stimulus. It's not enough to remotely cover the minimalist view of cost of living. Essentially, it's a bribe. Hush money. I find this amusing here. Funny, but not funny. Getting tested while not having any symptoms or not being sick is like a woman taking a pregnancy test while she's on her period. I suppose that's gender inequality now, though. Let's just join that division train. If you got a dick, go see if you can get a gynecologist to check out your vagina. Let me know how that works out. Be assured this is a full assault by the powers that shouldn't be. And I don't give two shits what denomination you support, whether it's R, D, or I. Or L. If you're still looking for that politician you believe in to affect positive change, you're looking in the wrong place. And quite frankly, and this is my opinion, you've been looking for a long damn time in the wrong place. Because they won't. As George Carlin said, it's one big club and you ain't in it, and they don't fucking care about you. Let me repeat that. They don't fucking care about you. You need to have been ready to live without an income years ago. Not now. It may be too late for you to prepare, but you should be doing that now, while you may possibly have some time. There will not be a return to, quote-unquote, normal. This new normal is the new normal, and they meant it when they said that. You just didn't understand the repercussions and the depth in which that was expressed. The new normal is the globalist agenda for world domination and technocratic, tyrannical, authoritarian control. Get your groups together and be ready. Talk to your neighbors. Talk to anyone you can. Just be careful, because red flag laws and all that wonderful crap. Tattle on your neighbor and make sure you can diminish their ability to resist. This is absolutely a war, and it started a long time ago. And a very small minority of us knew it. And again, we tried to tell you. Tried. And history is an interesting monster. And I think it was... I can't remember who said it now. It'll come to me later. But history might not necessarily repeat, but it sure does rhyme. I think that was Mark Twain. Boy, is that ever the truth. Because let me tell you something about nation states. Every nation state in all of known history has failed for one of three reasons. 1, natural disaster. 2, conquest. 3, tyrannical oppression. Where do you think we are? Which one do you think we're headed towards at the moment? If you still think it's a natural disaster, well, let me tell you, it's called a plandemic for a reason. Know that if you act out of anger without a plan, that you will fail. Know that if you act too early, you will fail. Know that if you're not mentally prepared, you will fail. I would seriously recommend at least reviewing the synopsis of Sun Tzu's Art of War. There is a lot to be learned there. And we are losing right now because too few people know who the enemy is or even recognize that there is one. Take care, stay safe, and good luck.